Hey everyone, I'm Rachel,
And I'm Jen, and welcome to Devilish Bookworms, the podcast.
where we read and review books and release episodes every Tuesday.
This week we have The Haunting of Chateau de Mornay by Blake Edward Andrew.
Ooh.
Losing a child is every parent's worst nightmare. When nightmare becomes reality for Brad and Anna, they decide that they need something drastic to change in their lives. Thanks to Brad's successful acting career, they are able to purchase a crumbling chateau and begin their next chapter. What neither of them know is a ghostly spectre has a different plan in mind. Dun dun dun.
Da-da.
Let's dive right in.
Okay, so I want to say first off that chances are good that we're going to do spoilers in this episode. If you're planning on reading this book, then don't listen to this podcast or listen to it. I don't know what to tell you at this point. I don't even know what my life is anymore after reading this book.
Yeah, I have to agree with that statement.
With that
This was a
sigh.
lot. Yeah, that too. That statement and the sigh. Because, all right, we're usually pretty like,
Diplomatic.
yeah, there we go. Diplomatic. I like that. We don't like being problematic.
Well, and for cause too. It's not just, it's
Yeah,
not like we're over here just trying to like be, politically correct so that no one's feelings get hurt. Like for the most part, we can see the artistic vision in everything. And so we don't want to sit there and bash books.
but although this artistic decision was not what we expected, we don't want to just trash it.
No, that's fair.
Okay, so listen, the whole premise of this book was so fascinating. Like I was so excited for this book because when you're told about having like a abandoned French chateau and there was a lot of death during the French Revolution and then someone's actually going to renovate it, but yet there's still something a little spooky about it. I'm like, ooh, I'm so intrigued right now. Like this sounds really great. But it kind of fell flat in multiple ways.
Yeah. I think the easiest way to kind of transition into it is to just kind of set the scene a little. Um, so at the very beginning, uh, my complicated my complicated feelings about this book started at the very, very beginning. So when we first are introduced to this whole book, we're in kind of a prologue. And so there's this woman named Vivian, and she's being chased. She's part of the resistance, and she's being chased by Nazis. And she's chased into this house where, she is inevitably knocked unconscious and then raped by three Nazis. And that's pretty much where my hesitation for this book began. Um,
It was within like the first like 5 pages, maybe. It was just like so
which would have
abrupt.
been fine, but I have problems with the way it was written. And the biggest problem with that scene in particular was the fact that she's knocked unconscious. She's violated by three men. And then when she immediately wakes up, there's no knowledge acknowledgement whatsoever about what happened to her. And I, I don't I don't know a single woman alive like who wouldn't have noticed that first off. You know what I mean? Like the German soldiers come in, they corner her and knock her out. She's violated. Wolves come in, kill the German soldiers, and then the woman wakes up to see what happened. And then this man comes in and closes her shirt and pulls her skirt down or whatever. And so, like, let's set the scene real quick. She's knocked out, wakes up after thinking she was going to be murdered, and there's no reaction. There's no reaction whatsoever. No, oh, thank God I'm alive. No, oh my God, what happened? There's no emotion in her whatsoever. There's no acknowledge. Like, they were Nazis and they hated her, which means you know that they were vicious when they perpetrated their act, right? And there's no acknowledgement. She doesn't feel down her body. There's no blood, no pain. There's no, you know, like I get that there's blood covered wolves in the room, but again, that's something that she should have acknowledged first thing. And then she just lays there naked until the man comes in and covers her up. Like who would just let I Jen?
And see, this is where I had a problem with it, because immediately I'm like, you can tell this was written by a man. And I hate to be that person. I hate to be that person to genderize something. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But this particular instance, I have to, because you could tell that this man has never been vulnerable to that point where he's been raped, or he's been in a situation where it's felt uncomfortable, where he's been touched uncomfortably. You can tell that he doesn't know how someone should be feeling in that
Mm-hmm.
instant. And without the emotions in there, like you said, there should have been some sort of like, oh my God, like what happened to me? Like, yeah, I'm okay. But there was no tears, there was no anger, there was no anything. There was no fucking
Mm-hmm.
emotion. And then when there was emotion, she was telling a ghost, or this man that covered her up, that she loved him and
Okay,
had sex with
facts.
him.
That right there. She was just violated by three men, and her first thought was, "Oh my god, this guy's so hot. Let's get it in." Are you kidding me?
That is not a realistic emotion. Like that doesn't ever realistically happen. No woman gets raped and then wants to have sex with someone willingly.
I mean, well,
Right after,
right.
like
No,
2
2 minutes
minutes
after. Yeah,
after
no.
waking up.
I was gonna say that there are, of course, we need to acknowledge that there are people that um deal with their trauma in different ways. Some, you know, just different ways. But
Facts.
no, yeah, not literally. Oh, I'm awake.
Open your
Hi.
eyes. So again, we're not trying to like bash on it, but this part needs to be bashed on, because this was, in my opinion, the most insensitive writing about a rape situation
Oh,
ever.
it was absolutely insane. It was absolutely insane.
Whew.
So
I feel a lot better getting that out.
yeah, there was it's I almost have no words. It's baffling to me how the most heinous thing was it was just handled with such like, well, that's the thing. It's two sentences in a prologue of like, well, that happened. So, you know. And then never I just, you know, moving on. I just can't. So then we jump to um a man and a woman, a man and his wife, and he's a famous actor, and she's his wife, and she was doing something and then quit, and then whatever. They had a daughter, and their daughter passed away. And so basically, to get their lives back, Brad said, "Hey, if you had all the money in the world and all the time in the world, what would be the one thing that you would want to do?" And she said, "Well, I would want to move to France, buy a chateau, and renovate it, and then have a hotel or a bed and breakfast." And he's like, "You know what? I'm a famous actor. Done." So they move to France. They find this beautiful chateau, whatever. Um, they go and they're doing a walkthrough with the realtor. And this is one of the moments where I had an issue with the writing, like the actual writing itself, was because they're walking through and his writing is very repetitive, like very fucking
Yes.
repetitive. So they're walking through this chateau with their realtor, and Anna will ask questions, and then the realtor will like skirt around the issue. But every time she asks a question and the realtor deflects the answer, he makes a note to write in there, like it's explicitly stated, I don't like answering questions like that. I don't want to hide what really happened, but if I tell her what happened, then they're not going to want to buy it. Like it's explicitly stated every single time. Oh my
multiple
god.
times.
I'm so glad you picked that up too.
Yeah. Well, how about the door? How many times did we need to be told that the door was heavy and
But it
it
was
creaked and
open.
it
It's open. It's
it
always
was
open.
open, but it was heavy and it
But how
creaked
is it
and
open?
it not only was it repetitive, but there was a lot of inconsistencies. But right away when they're walking through, you can tell that Brad hated every bit of it. Every bit of it. He was like, this is so much work. This is not worth it. This is just awful. And then you have Anna, who's like, oh my God, this is my dream come true. This is everything. I love this. And it's not going to be a problem at all. And I'm like, okay, we're setting the scene for what is coming. But at the same time, it was so chaotic because there was them doing the walkthrough, then there was flashbacks, then there was them doing the walkthrough again, and then there was the conversations between the realtor and herself, and then the realtor and Brad and Anna.
Oh, that's another thing.
And
The head hopping. The head hopping was so
yes.
insane. Listen, okay, so I'm okay with multi POVs, right? And I'm totally okay. Like I can follow it. It's perfect, right? But like you have different ways that you do multi POVs. One is you do a chapter, a chapter, a chapter, a chapter, right? Like my point of view, your point of view, my point of view, your point of view. Or you can divvy it up even smaller within that, right? So like one chapter, like it'll be my point of view and then scene cut and then your point of view and then scene cut and then but with this it wasn't like that. It was so head hoppy that in one paragraph you could have two and or three different points of view. And so it was like there was
Mm-hmm.
one point where the and it's very 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 later on in the book and I have different examples, but this one specifically like came up the most recently to me. So it's like this character walks into the bedroom and has an uncomfortable moment with Anna. And then it's in his point of view. And then he leaves and the door closes and it's in Anna's point of view. And it's like, it's just such a weird transition that you're like, hold on. So is he experiencing this in, oh no, okay, he's gone. Wait, who's in the room?
Yeah. There was also different scenes where they they were talking in French and it would be italicized and then highlighted in gray. And then in that same section where they're talking in English, it's still highlighted in gray, but it's like a different point of view from a different person and sometimes even a different scene altogether, but yet it's still in the gray, sometimes italicized. It like the formatting was a little funky on top of it. So it made some of the dialogue a little more head hoppy and then confusing because of the formatting. I don't know if that made
Yeah,
any
no, the
sense.
formatting was really funky, especially when you have um like you're reading a sentence and halfway through the sentence it jumps down to the next line indented like it's starting a new paragraph, but it's the same sentence. And that happened constantly.
I mean, don't get me wrong. The way that he was describing the whole layout of the house was
Oh, that
awesome.
house.
Oh, I know. The chateau was literally he described it beautifully with uh the type of I can't remember the type of French design that it was,
Baroque?
but
Was it Baroque?
I think so. So you had that description, and then he went into details about the gold inlays and the curvatures, the leaf designs and all of that. It was beautifully done there. He really did set a great picture when it came to describing the house. Beautiful. The sense of decay and decrepitness of the ballroom. I love that. You walk into the room, you smell that stench, and you immediately retract. Fine. I can dig that. I can actually see exactly what you're walking into. But the the dialogue was just not freaking it.
Yeah. There were a few bits. I want to go back to I have a perfect moment of dialogue in a minute, but I want to go back to the
Mm-hmm.
house real quick. So like when they're driving up, it's 80 rooms on 5 floors. And like for some reason when I pictured it, and Jen, you're 100% correct. He was really good at setting the tone. That I will absolutely give him. Like I got the others vibes, like the how, like the movie with Nicole Kidman. Like it's like this big
Yeah.
sprawling, like there's all this yards and yards of grass. And as they're driving up, I actually like really liked this moment with Anna because as they're driving up, Brad is like, "Holy crap, that's a big old house." But Anna is thinking about the pebbles that they're driving on, and like how many of them have been there since the house was built or since the revolution, and like that's exactly the stuff that I think about. So like I loved that moment with Anna. And then like
I just want to
yeah.
interrupt real quick because I actually had made a note that because she was actually talking about all that, and um I actually made a comment that that's how you would react with
Yeah.
doing that. And like there's a couple of other instances where, I felt that's how you would have reacted to seeing
What, like
something
falling
like
in love with a
that. And
ghost? I get it.
I meant the architecture and just like being all like goo eyed
At the
at
ghost,
all
I
of
get
it.
it.
Yeah, that too.
No, but I love that you
Oh,
thought that because I 100% that is exactly the stuff that I think about. Um, to go to another thing was that in that first bit, well, not even in the first bit, I think through the whole book, really, there was a whole lot of tell, not show. And I completely understand. I'm a broken record with show, don't tell. I get it. Like, yes, sometimes we have to tell, but most of the time you want to show, right? Like you're telling a story. Um, so this quote, I'm going to read this quote. It says, "They continued down the second floor hallway. Most of the rooms were small and nondescript. Marcel merely pointed them out and mentioned that they were guest rooms and that Brad and Anna would have to make a choice to include a small bathroom in each for guests or build a communal bathroom on each floor. Brad mentioned having a chamber pot in each room to keep with authenticity while building a bathroom on each floor. Anna rather liked the idea and was surprised it came from Brad and not her." What the fuck is that sentence? So, like, it's weird to me how it's like, oh, this character said this, and then this character said this, and then this character said this. And especially that last sentence, Anna rather liked the idea and was surprised it came from Brad and not her. Ew, first of all, Anna, you dick. Like, I don't know. It was there were a lot of moments that were like that where it was like it was almost like it was written, this happened and then this happened and then this happened, then this and this and this, and then this happened and then this happened. Did you feel that way too?
yes. But I also did have a comment about the chamber pot thing as well. Because if this is like nowadays, because that's kind of how he set the scene, is it's like recent history.
Yeah, it's like
Um,
contemporary.
yeah. Who in the fuck is going to use a chamber pot, and what fucking staff is going to actually empty it?
I
Please
think he was
explain.
being facetious.
But she
I
liked the
mean,
idea and she was going for it. Like,
actually,
mm,
facts.
I'm sorry, unsanitary. No one's gonna want to touch that. And nah, nah. I can understand it as an aesthetic, like having it there, but come on. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it.
Like, I know that's nitpicking, but at the same time, I literally made a note that that's gross.
You know what's funny is I feel like if there's more good than bad, you tend to forgive the bad that you find and you're not as nitpicky. But then if there's more bad than good, you pick it apart. Like that's what I was doing with this book. I was literally picking it apart.
I was trying so hard not to. Like, I really, again, I really wanted to like this book because it was just like, it had all the stuff was there. It
Mm-hmm.
just, it, it got lost in translation, or, well, in creation, not in translation. But it was like, okay, you have a perfect scene. All right, you've got a place that, people were murdered at. It's falling apart, it's decrepit. No one wants to be there, no one wants to own this place. Everybody that has owned it has like wanted to give it up. Okay, this is great, this is a great start. Well, it wasn't, but it could have been. But like, as we're going through, and now they're staying their first night, Brad gets scared out of his fucking gourd. All right. He wakes up, or, well, excuse me, Anna wakes up to find him naked outside in the field. And he's traumatized, like PTSD. Like, he doesn't even want to be there. He's non-communicative. He's like in a complete trance. Like, nothing. So he ends up leaving and just drops her and just goes. So his manager calls his wife, or tells his wife that he's gone. He's got him on a plane already, and she's just got to let it happen. Okay, first off, that, like, if anybody ever did that to me, where like, oh hey, yeah, you can't talk to your husband, I'm sorry, I'm gonna go find him. I'm not gonna stay where the fuck I am, even if I don't know what airport he's going to. I'm going to go try to find him. No, this bitch just sat on the bed and said, "Let me take a hot bath. Let me get drunk, and let me let a ghost finger me." Excuse me? Like, where did
Facts.
that even come from?
Facts.
Like, you, like, all the setup was there, and then like, you're all of a sudden you're just blindsided with just random stuff.
But I think that it could have been. Here's the thing: is every step of the way, every single scene, every single thing could have been done in a way that, if it was done just a little better. I Guys, if you've listened for a while, you know that I hate saying stuff like that. But if okay, so say hypothetically, like he goes off and then it's written in a way that conveys her deep pain about being abandoned, which we get flashbacks. I get it. Like the scene is set, but we're told very much that she has abandonment issues. If he conveyed the emotion a little bit more, and I think that's what was missing in so much of this, was that we were told people were angry, we were told people were hurt, we were told that they were upset or whatever, but the characters still, to me, in my opinion, felt real hollow. There was no substance to them. So when we're reading it, and but the fear was good though. When Brad is talking about how scared he was and how he was fearing for his life, that was okay. I get that. But then when we have her and we're reading it as, oh, my husband left me, I'm sad, but I'm gonna go take a bath. My brain was immediately like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Go hop on a plane, go find him, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But if it had been written in a way that was like, oh, she was so heartbroken, she was thinking about her daughter again, like everyone left her. If he had dove a little bit more into the actual
Emotions.
emotion, we would have seen,
Yes.
oh, okay, I get why she didn't leave the house, because she couldn't, because she was so filled with pain that she couldn't, and she had to take a bath because she had to do something, and she was so cold, like something, give me something, man.
I mean, you did such a great job portraying the husband's emotions. But what about the wife? Where were any of her emotions? Like, he made her out to be a cold-hearted bitch. And I honestly think he really didn't represent any emotions with a female very well in this book at all.
See, I didn't get cold-hearted from her, but I do kind of get what you're saying. And it was, so here's the thing is, I believe that anyone can write anything. I think that if you do your work and you're diligent and you're respectful of the people, I think that a man can absolutely 1000% write from a woman's point of view and have it be realistic. 100% they can.
1000%,
1,000.
absolutely.
Chris, we did the Apple Rose, man.
Yes, Chris Stanfield. Yeah, he did it beautifully. I 100% agree with you. Men can write women's emotions. They can write women's stories. But this just didn't hit the mark.
Right.
That's
And there were a couple times when that's prevalent. I mean, after the rape scene,
yeah.
and then like there were a few times, there's a moment later on in the book. I told you that we were going to have spoilers. So way later on in the book, there's a moment when he sleeps with someone that he shouldn't have slept with. And then it was justified because like it was her ticket out of there, was basically the way it was written. And I'll explain more later on, but that it was kind of like there are a few different things that it was like, oh, okay, so you really don't know how that feels. Like, did you ask anyone how that would feel? Did you ask a friend or anyone, if you were in this situation, how would you feel? um no, he didn't.
So I have another example of like Anna and her emotions, like her character as a whole. This was in the very beginning. She had made a point where this is where she always felt belittled, asking Brad for money or anything that made her swallow her pride. So, like, I can understand, like, not wanting to ask for anything. I can understand, you know, like, I don't even know how to phrase this, but it's like he made her out to be like such a woe is me character, but then didn't give her any woe is me moments besides the fact that her child passed. That was the one thing that I could see that she was kind of sad about. But even with her child passing, like I didn't feel it. Like I felt it more from the husband than I did from her.
Mm-hmm.
And the husband even showed barely any emotion about their daughter passing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm done
There
about
were
emotion.
moments, no, no, listen, because there were moments in this book where I genuinely thought, wait, I have to sit here and I have to think about maybe the fact that this book wasn't written for me. Maybe I'm not the target audience, because that's 100% possible. Sometimes books were written not for me, and I get that. However, I feel as though if you are going to write characters, it's your duty to not paint them. If a character is a certain way, like a dramatic woman, okay? If you have a dramatic woman, it has to be clear through the writing. You don't tell us, don't say, oh, every other woman is fine except for her, she's dramatic. You have to make it clear through the writing that this character is dramatic. And you have to have instances in which the character was dramatic so that we can see it with our own eyes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the way that this book was written was every single woman that was in this book was kind of written as, I mean,
A floozy.
Yeah, just a whore, vapid. There's no like I really, really, really don't because I'm not a gender wars person, but I this is one of those moments where I have to concede he wrote women like crap. And I feel as though if he had just done it do it in Brad's point of view. He couldn't because he was telling her story. But if you're going to tell it from a female's point of view, you have to do more research. You have to ask questions. You have to see how a person would react in that situation as opposed to just being like, yeah, the woman that was raped 20 seconds ago is totally in the mood for you now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like don't just write it how you think that someone would react, because how you think you would react and how someone else would react are two different things. I mean, we don't even know ourselves how we would react in a situation until it actually happens. But if you get someone that has an understanding of how someone might react, then you'll have a better understanding of how your character should react.
Mm-hmm. So, and that's why show don't tell is so important. Because if you have a character who is prone to quick anger, he's an angry guy, right? You have to include instances in which the character is quick to anger, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jean Pierre is a perfect example because Luke, there's a character, Luke, who is one of the ghosts, right? That's the ghost that finger bangs her in the bathtub.
Sorry.
Luke's father's name is Jean Pierre. Okay. And the whole time I think Jean Pierre is just kind of oblivious, right? And then all of a sudden, a moment happens when no, he's literally like a heinous human being. But we hadn't seen that. So we don't know why characters are scared of him or why he's respected or why anything happens. And it's just like all of a sudden, like 1 minute, he's just like, oh, you're just a spoiled rich kid. And then the next minute, like, it's completely different. So, um, I want to talk a little bit about the vernacular or the speech that was used, not the French to English. That I was totally okay with.
Okay.
But okay, so like there's one moment in the very beginning when Anna and Brad are like together, and so she slips into the shower with him and faints. And then when she wakes up, she said that she must have hit her head. And he said, this is a quote: amazingly, you didn't. You pretty much slumped down into a perfect heap of wet skin on the shower floor. Who the fuck talks like that? Who talks like that?
I immediately just kind of like cringe just hearing it again.
I if hold on, if someone told me that I slumped down into a perfect heap of wet skin, I would throw up on them and then report them because they're probably a serial killer. Poor Brad.
A heap of wet skin. Yeah, that's
Blech.
yeah. You could have
Oh,
just said crumpled over. You
yeah, you just collapsed. Maybe,
yeah.
maybe that. There was another quote. It says he often felt he said it every day. I need you. Hold on. I need you. He often felt he said it every day. Did he say it every day? Or did he just feel like he said it every day? Did he feel like he said it every day because he did say it every day? For some reason, that sentence broke my brain.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I could see it.
Sorry.
Like we don't like being those people. We are not we are not those people.
Well,
Usually, well, not typically. I mean, when it was like, oh, what was it? Accidental Magic, Iris Beagle. We were those people.
yeek.
But at the same time, we try to keep an open mind. We try to understand that a book is just not for us. But I just think this just it could have been better if there was maybe some editing or
Here's the thing. It's like I have two personalities, right? And one of them is a catty petty bitch, right? And I part of me is so happy right now because I'm a terrible person. Part of me wants to go in, right? And then part of me, the bigger part is like there is room for all forms of art and all artists are valid, and we need to make sure that we don't ban things and we don't, you know, come down too hard on things because someone out there is going to love this thing. But another part of me remembers that the main female character is getting a foot massage by a ghost and then learning about his first sexual experience when he was 13. And she decides that that was really a turn on and gets herself off in the bathtub. So
yeah.
maybe sometimes it's okay to be a petty catty bitch.
There was just there was a lot of that though, like a lot of not just okay, age gap is one thing, but underage with a gap is another thing. There was a lot of underage with a gap in this book.
He is
I don't
13, ma'am. It would have been different if he was telling her this story, because here's the thing is I completely understand that relationships happen. Things happen and I get that.
mm-hmm.
But there's a difference between being told a story about a 13-year-old's sexual awakening and being like, I understand that that's the thing that happened to you. Like, are you good? Like, how was that? How did you feel about that? Like, are you okay? You know? And then being like, ooh, baby, tell me more. When she was like, oh, don't stop. I was, uh.
Yeah, like I could understand if you were like in a gossipy way, like, okay, then what happened?
Yeah.
Like it would still
Mm-hmm.
be ick, but at the same time, it wouldn't be as ick, you
Yeah.
know?
I'm not a complete like granny. I get that relationships happen and things happen, you know. I
But
just
that
don't think that adults should be getting off to underage things happening. I'm sorry.
agreed. Especially with someone with a 13-year-old. Talk about
Yeah.
fucking uncomfortable.
Yeah. And then this is just off topic. Can we stop villainizing age gaps when the women are in their early 20s? Like there are some instances where the younger person is in their 20s and people are like, "Ugh, his new girlfriend's like 20." First of all, she's not a teenager. And second of all, can we not like infantilize? Like she is in her 20s. She knows what she wants. She knows what she's doing. Are there predators? Sure. Are there guys that are a little skeezy? Sure. But like, let's also not take their autonomy away from them. I am a big fan of age gaps because even if we are in our 20s, you know, we still know what we want. We still know what we're doing. We're still adults making adult decisions. Ugh. I hate it when
Yep.
people are, his little 24-year-old girlfriend. Yeah, and ma'am, and I'm sorry, I'm done.
No, I completely understand that. Big fan of age gaps as well.
Oh, there was one thing that I found in this book that I was so here for. I was actually here for it.
Okay. Do tell.
There was a moment where she says, I want you to use my body to keep you alive. Okay.
Okay,
And
yeah.
what is happening is, so for the audience, Luke is the ghost of the house, right? And he and Anna, now that Brad is out of the way and back in LA, Luke and Anna are kind of, obviously getting friendly. So what's happening is basically he's using her energy from her, and it kind of like allows him to be stronger so he can make himself corporeal, hence the woo woo in the bathtub. And so she says, I want you to use my body to keep you alive. So I don't know if any of you out there know this, but there was a Rob Zombie song called Never Gonna Stop. And the audio sample in the beginning of Never Gonna Stop is use my body to keep you alive. And that quote, the sample is from a 1969 horror film called The Curious Dr. Hump.
Okay, I didn't know the second part, but I obviously knew it was a Rob Zombie clip.
Yeah. It's the one that's like it's like based off of Clockwork Orange, and when like the music video happens, it like goes in on him and she's like, use my body to keep you alive. Oh my god, I love that song.
Yeah. Oh, trust me, I know exactly what song you're talking about.
Yeah, so I really dug that. As soon as I read that quote, I was like, oh.
So don't get us wrong, there were good moments in this book. One part that I found was this one description that he wrote in here, and it says, alone, abandoned, here she was again, like a discarded toy that nobody loved. What was it about her that allowed people to treat her like this? Anna knew it was more complicated than that, but she couldn't help simplifying it. Father, mother, husband, and even Audrey to some extent. So much loss. So I feel like that was one good moment that he took to give Anna a moment of emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like that brief moment of just emptiness and being lonely. But other than that, that's all I got.
Yeah. There were a few parts. I suppose I don't want to necessarily go into spoilers. At first, I was like, I fuck it, do all the spoilers, you know?
We did some spoilers though.
We did do some spoilers, and I guess I'll just leave it and not completely ruin it. But there is something that I want to talk about real quick, and that is there are a few instances in the latter half of the book that just, in my opinion, don't make sense. They don't make sense. There's a moment where there's a betrayal, and it made no sense to me. If someone was someone's friend, then why would they do the thing that they did to them with no prompting? And like he does something wrong. So the I guess the best way that I can describe it is this. In the prologue, we're back in Nazi Germany, or in not in with Nazis. And then the beginning of the book, we're in present day with Brad and Anna. Then we get transported back in time with Luke when Luke is telling Anna his story. So then that's another timeline, which is fine. But in his past, Luke does something that's not, it's not great. It's not great at all, right? It's pretty bad. But I feel as though none of the punishments fit the crimes at all. Like there's a person, Etienne, who does something because of what Luke did, and to me it makes no sense at all, not even a little bit. There's a character called Marta, and something happens to her that to me there's no justification for it. Like I like, to me the punishment doesn't fit the crime. Like at one point there's like a mob that's formed literally because someone says, hey, this person does this thing, you might want to come handle it. But to me it makes no sense. Why would they care? Why would they care? To me there's like all of the things that are like life ending and like like horrible, all these things that happen because of something where realistically it would be like, oh, it's a crappy thing to do. Like, let's not invite him to any parties, or let's not invite this person. Like, let's kind of shun this person, shun them. That's fine. But I feel as though so many things, so much happened that it was like, I don't understand how we got from point A to point Z, you know?
Yeah, that was kind of like where we kept just getting blindsided by different things. Like first it was you know, the ghost finger banging the chick in the bathroom, and then it was just another instance of just random things that didn't seem to fit the story that happened. Or as you said, the crime didn't fit the punishment. So
Yeah.
it was just so many different ways we were just kind of getting like swayed on a boat. It was like you think you're gonna tip, but then all of a sudden you're going the complete opposite direction.
Mm-hmm.
It was like it was like that moment on Pirates of the Caribbean where Johnny's like, "Oh, hey, look on this side of the boat," and then starts running on the other side of the boat, and everybody's so confused at what's going on until like some random moment where all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, he's flipping the boat." Kind of
Yeah.
same concept.
Yeah. I think that we definitely could have gotten there. It just for some reason it didn't flow. It was like point A, point B, we're here that now we're here, but the middle bit, the how we got there wasn't fleshed out enough. So it didn't it wasn't to me it wasn't a smooth flow. Um, but I feel as though we bashed on this poor man's book. You know the biggest problem for me? The biggest problem for me
What's that?
is the fact that through all of the heinous things, in my opinion, in this book, you know, the fact that there was underage um sexual situations that were romanticized for no goddamn reason. Um the thing that we didn't even cover it, trigger warning, there's a huge slavery aspect to this book, but we didn't talk about it because it's in the second half of the book. And to me what happens, like, in there's what like I don't even want, to me, like that whole aspect is, there's no, I have no words. I have no words for Luke's first night there. Like, oh, look at me, I'm so different, don't you love it? I whatever. Like, through all of the heinous stuff, like if you got rid of those dumb shits for no reason, I am like invested in the characters. Like if it was written differently, and if it was fleshed out a little bit more, I would totally be down for book 2. And part of me is like, oh, maybe I should just read it. But then part of me is like, no, I don't want to.
Yeah, and like I had said, I really wanted to love this book. Like it had all the bones were there, but then it just kind of crumbled, kind of
Yeah,
like the chateau.
kind of like the chateau. Um, all right. So this book, The Haunting of Chateau de Mornay, is book 1 in a trilogy, what will be a trilogy, and it was written by Blake Edward Andrew. He has a website, authorblakeandrew.com, and on there you can see about his book. There's a contact me. You can purchase a signed hardcover, which cool. Um, he is also on Instagram, and his tag or his handle on Instagram and Threads is author underscore Blake underscore Edward underscore Andrew. And he's pretty active on there. So I would say if you want to read the book, totally read the book. I'm so like angry, sad.
It- yeah, like I said, wanted to love it. Unfortunately, just didn't hit the mark. You never know. Hopefully, book 2 will be better though.
Yeah.
Put it this way, things can get better. You just have to hope they do.
Things can get better. That's 100% accurate. I think that to me, I was out. I had a really rough time with the 13-year-old flashback. I had a really hard
Mm.
time with that. Um, but I was done real like pretty much that first night when he was like, "Oh my god, slavery is so horrible. Hey, I haven't seen a woman in a few months. It's your job to service me, right?" Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, you know what? I'm fucking out.
And it's okay to tap out too. It's, you know, our first episode on here was not great. We've removed it. We're planning on going back, seeing if we can edit it up to, you know, resolve some of that. But that doesn't mean that like his next book won't be better. It doesn't mean that this book can't be republished because books are done all the time like that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm talking in circles. I need to just stop.
Jen, can you tell everyone what we're reading next week?
I think it's a perfect one.
All
It
the
is.
authors are like, no, not me, not me, not me.
Well, you know what? Here's yours. Next week we are reading Here Lies a Vengeful Bitch by Cody Crowley.
I'm
Now,
so excited.
I'm actually kind of dead because we just, no offense, we just kind of tore this book apart and all that, and now Here Lies a Vengeful Bitch. Well, I guess that's us taking our grave right now. All
So
authors
I
are gonna be
found
like,
this book.
ooh.
Yeah, I know. All the authors are gonna be like, please do not review my book. Um, so I found this book on on TikTok. I was just scrolling through, minding my own business, when all of a sudden I saw a video from this chick, Cody Crowley. It was hilarious and she was so adorable. She reminded me of like Brittany Murphy in Clueless. And oh my gosh, she's just the cutest little thing. So I was like, I need to read this book. And now here we are.
And well, the first literal line of the book already had me tickled. So, yeah, can't wait now.
Whoop, whoop. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for bearing with us through this episode of Devilish Bookworms Podcast. If you love us, please go ahead and give us a like and a subscribe on all of the platforms at Devilish Bookworms on TikTok and Threads, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. But that's pretty much it. We're trying to get better, guys. Just, I don't know, this algorithm's kicking my ass lately.
Yeah.
Take one day off and all of a sudden you gotta break down the door to get back in.
No, it like this week's been a bitch for both of us. So it's like, where's the time? Where is the time to
What's
freaking
in the
fix it?
box?
Oh, Jesus. Mm.
All right, everyone. Thank you. And we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.